Hello fellow YouTubers, Jermaine here, and in this video we're going to be looking at how exactly we can use JavaScript libraries in our Dart applications. So this video is an extension of an article that I wrote a couple of months back, so in August. And what that article essentially demonstrates is how using a package by the Dart team, you're able to use JavaScript libraries in your Dart applications. So the problem that addresses is just in case you've been thinking about exploring Dart and you're worried that you don't get to use your favorite JavaScript libraries, this package is a response to that concern that you may have. So in this video, we're going to be going over the Vue.js documentation, and then we'll see how using the JS package we can interoperate with this JavaScript library. So let's begin. So we're going to be doing this from scratch, and before we start, just as the article says here, we're going to start by using the stagehand package to scaffold a web project. So you can download stagehand from the Dart repository by running pub global activate stagehand. So once that's done, you get a stagehand command and you're able to bootstrap certain type of projects from console command line applications to applications that use the canvas element. So you get to bootstrap. You've got a pre-selection of different applications you can generate folders and files for. So in this example, we just generated the web simple one, which is a web app that uses only the core Dart libraries. So once generated, we need to run pub-get to update our dependencies. But in fact, let me cancel this, because in our pubspec.yaml file, we need to actually update our dependencies. So we need to install the JS package, and it's 0.6.0. If I save that, I have an extension installed for VS Code which will automatically install the packages for me. So this extension is called PubAssist. In fact, I'll put a link in the description to show where you can download that from. So let's wait for it to finish. I might have to speed this video up. Okay, I think it's done. Okay, so once we've updated our packages, I'm going to go to our web folder and just take you through what has been generated so far. So the index.html contains just some basic HTML, and in the body we've got a div with an ID of output. And what this div is used for is in our main.dart file over here, we are query selecting it, and then we are setting the inner text to this string. So this comes with this. Essentially, we're using this to confirm that our Dart app is running. So we can do that by using the web dev tool, and we use this for local development. So that's also by the Dart team, and you can install it by doing pub global activate web dev. So once that's done, you can do web dev serve. So we'll serve this project. You use the serve command for local development, and for deploying to production you use the build command, but we'll be using serve here. So I'll do a webdev.serve, and I'll enable live reload to save me from refreshing the page manually. So let's see what we get. Okay, so now we can access our local development server on localhost 8080. So let's load that up, and then we should see, as expected, your Dart app is running. Okay, so our app is running, and yeah, I believe we have our JS package installed. So if I go back to the article, I've got an example here using the JS package on the window object. So what we need to do is I will copy this example and I'll paste it here and explain what is happening. So the way this package works is it gives us these annotations called JS, and these annotations essentially would allow us to access the window object and specifically access properties and methods on the window object. So in this case, our file has to start with a JS annotation, and we need to give it a library name. We can give the name, can essentially specify anything for the name, and then we need to import our JS package. So we need this js.dart dependency, which allows us to use these annotations, and then here we are marking this function as a call to console.log. So console.log is in the JavaScript namespace. So to access it in Dart, we use the JS annotation, and essentially we give it the method we want it to call, which is console.log. And in Dart, we've declared a function called log, which takes in a dynamic value, and then it returns void as expected. And we also mark this function as external, which tells Dart that console.log that is not existing within Dart's ecosystem, because that's in the JavaScript space, not the Dart space. So then in our main function, we just invoke this log method and we pass it hello world. So I'm going to save this, and if I go back to our page and I look in our console, you should see hello world logged out. So I'm going to zoom in. Oops, okay, zoomed in a bit too much. So we got hello world. Okay, so now we can confirm that this is working. I'm going to go to the Vue.js documentation page. And then we're going to go over the examples on the get started screen. So at the get started screen, now the advice that the easiest way to try use JS, apart from using the fiddle, we can also create an index, but we can start by creating an index HTML file and including either of these script development or production versions. So I'm going to use the development version. We've got an index HTML file already, and I'm going to include the Vue.js script before our main.dart.js script. And it's worth mentioning that the reason why it's main.dart.js is because the web dev server would automatically create this file for us since we're developing locally. So this file is automatically generated for us. All we just need is a main.dart file, which we already have. So going back to the documentation, I'm going to go to the first example on declarative rendering. So essentially, Vue.js allows us to declaratively render data to the DOM using this template syntax. So I'll start by copying this template syntax into index.html, paste that there, and in main.dart, I'm going to clear all of this because we don't really need those anymore. So if I save that, and I come back to this page, I close this down, you literally see a message being rendered, which is expected. So going back here now, in order to get Vue.js working, we need to create a new instance of Vue, or a new Vue object, and then we pass in these properties. So let's see how we can do that. We'll start by using our JS annotation, and we'll give this a library name. I'll call it Vue interrupt. And we're getting a red because we need to import the package js/js.dart. Okay, and then you need to create another JS annotation, and then we are annotating, we're creating a class called Vue, which this Vue class is a pointer to this Vue object in JavaScript land. And we need to declare an external factory constructor called Vue. And then this constructor would essentially take an options object here. Right. So I'll specify a map called options. And well, let's try this, see what happens. So I'll call Vue. With my Vue object, which takes in options, I'll pass in a map, and then L app, and then we've got data message hello Vue. Okay, so let me save this, and let's see what happens on the page. Okay, so we can see nothing is working, which is because the reason why it's not working, let's see if we get any errors in the console. Yeah, of course, we won't get any. Okay, so the reason why it's not working is because Dart maps do not translate well to JavaScript. So Dart maps are opaque in JavaScript. So in order to get this working, we need to create essentially a factory class which would take in our options. So what that looks like is we'll have Vue options. I'll call it Vue options. Then we annotate it. We need a JS annotating. We need the anonymous annotation. Then we create our class called Vue options. And in this class, well, we need to declare our factory constructor called Vue options. And this factory constructor takes a couple of name properties. So it's our L is a string, and then we have our data. In fact, let's do it with L for now, and then we'll sort the data one later. So we also need to declare a getter for L. So external, and then it's a string, and then it's a getter, and then it's called L. So now we need to replace this map with our Vue options object, and then we pass in L, which is app. So let's save this and see what we get. Okay, so there's nothing now on the page, which tells me that it's, let's see, property or method message is not defined. Yeah, so this tells me that it's working. Yeah, so it's working. So we just need to define this message property. Okay, so our options object also requires a data property. So like I said earlier on, we can't pass a map. So we'll also need to essentially create one of these, but for the data property for the data options. So I'll create a view data options class, and then which is called data. It's not there yet, but we'll create it in a bit. So external view data options. I need to declare a getter for it. So get, then we call it data, and then create a new annotation. Give it a class of view data options. Options. Declare an external factory. Now, view data options, and this takes in a message, which is string, and then we need to declare a getter for it. So string get message. I need a semicolon here. Okay, so now to use this, we can do comma, thanks to IntelliSense, data options, and then we declare our message string, so which is hello view. So let's save this, add a comma here so that it indents it properly, and yeah, you see that it's working. Let me zoom in. Yeah, there we go. So we got hello view working. Alright, so we got our first example working. Hello view is displayed as expected in the documentation. So let's go through the other examples. In fact, before we go through this example, I want us to refactor this slightly. So I'm going to do that by creating a new file, call it app.dart, and then in main.dart I'm going to copy all of this out and paste it in here in app.dart, and then I'll import this file here. Okay, so I'll save this and check that it's working. Yeah, still works. Okay, so now that we got a file that's more minimal, we'll go back to app.dart and work from here. Let's see what the second example is. Okay, so here it says in addition to text interpolation, we can also bind attributes like this. Okay, so attribute, we're binding the title attribute. Yeah, we're binding the title attribute to the message property. Alright, so when we hover over, yeah, we see this message popping up. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. I'm going to copy this markup and place it here. Okay, and then save this file. And what do we need here? Okay, we don't need to change anything in this file. So in main.dart, you need to set the message to, no, sorry, we need to create another view instance, and then define view options. And then inside view options, we'll pass in our element, which is up2, and then in data, we pass in view data options, and then the message would be you loaded this page on. Loaded this page on we need to use string interpolation here, date time, and we need to pass in the year. No, not now. No, to local. To local. So let me save that. Okay, let's go back here and see what happens. Okay, so if I hover my mouse, I should see the date appear. Okay, that's good. He loaded this page on 1st of November 2018. Alright, that's good for the second example. So let's scroll through to the third one. Okay, conditions and loops. Okay, so over here, Vue allows us to toggle the presence of an element using the vif attribute. And I guess vif is bound to the scene property here, so if scene is true, we should see this. If it's false, we should not see it. Okay, cool. So let's copy and paste this. Yeah, so we got up3. I'll save this file, and then because we've got a new property called scene, we need to go into our app.dart file and expect this property, which is a Boolean value. So scene, you need to define a getter for scene. Yeah, so if I save this, that means in my main.dart file, I should be able to use this scene property. So and it's view data options. True. So let's try this. I'll put a comma here to indent it the way I like to see it. Okay, so we got now you see me. So if I set this to false, it should be hidden. Okay, there we go. It's gone. Alright. I'll set it back to true. And if we go back to the documentation, it says go ahead and enter app3.scene equals false in the console. You see the message disappear. So I will, well, by the looks of it, we would assign this view object to this variable called app3. But then you can see that doing app3 dot scene does not work because the setter scene isn't defined for this view class. So we need to define this property in our view class. So if we come to this view class, we should be able to just do external Boolean and a setter, because we'll be setting for that. And then I think we need to do this. Hold up. Oh yeah, sorry. We'll see. Oh yeah, of course. Wait. Okay, so let's save this and save this main.dart file. So it should be hidden again. So in order to see this the effect kicking in, I'm going to use a feature for this one. So to use a feature, we need to import the Dart async class, and then we can do Yeah, I think I use async await in this case because it's easier to read. So I'll mark it, this main function, as async, and then I can await for delayed for a duration of 2 seconds. And then afterwards we should see this kick in, which would make the text disappear. So let's try it. Okay, so now you see me, and then it's gone. Okay, cool. Let's move to the next example. So if I go back to the documentation, I scroll down, we've got an example here with a loop. So the v-for directive is used for loops. Okay, so it says there are a few other directives. For example, the v-for directive can be used for displaying a list of items. Okay, fine. So I'm going to copy this one. And then paste that in here. Save this. And then, okay, we need to define a to-dos property, which is an array of objects with a text prop, and which is what is being rendered here. And then, so we should see this. Okay. Let's go to our main.dart file. And then here we'll declare an app for. Then we'll create a Vue instance, and then we'll have our Vue options. Sorry guys, if you hear that, someone is making a lot of noise outside. Okay, I think the noise has stopped now. So let's continue. So I am creating an app for variable, and I'm setting it to a Vue instance, and I'm passing in my options. Then I've set my element to app for, and then for our data prop, we pass in Vue data options. But now we don't have our to-dos created, so let's go do that now. So I'll go back to app.dart, and then in Vue data options, I'll declare a to-dos prop, and then I'll define that here, external list get to-dos prop. So each item is an object literal, which, like I said earlier on, we can't use a dot map in this case. And the limitation with the map is only in the case of interoperating with JavaScript libraries. In other cases, you can use a map without any issue. So we will set this list to a type of to-do, which we will create in a minute. So I will call it list of to-do here like this, and then right below here. No, in fact, I'll do it in another file. So let's create a new file. We'll call it to-do.dart. In here we will use the JS annotation, and then we'll call the library, call it to-do, for lack of a better name. And let's import JS package, js.dart, and then using our annotation, let's create an anonymous. We will use the anonymous annotation as well, not anonymous. And then the class, we'll call it to-do. And then we need an external tree constructor to-do, which takes in a string property called text, and then let's define our getter. Okay, save this file and then import our to-do into app.dart. To-do.dart. Okay. Alright, so the error is gone now. Okay, so we'll go back to main.dart, and then in app4 we should now be able to have our to-dos, and then have a list of to-do where the text is set to put dart for this one. And yeah, we need to import the to-do class here, so I will do that. Okay, right, so let's save that, and let's see what this looks like now. Okay, that's good. So let's just add the two examples to other list items. Okay, build something awesome. Cool. Let's see. Okay, there we have it. It's good. And then we need a way of doing this. So app4.todos.push text new item. So we need a way of adding new items to the to-dos by literally doing that. So, which means we need to add the to-dos property on our Vue instance. So we go back to app.dart, go to our Vue instance, we define. Naturally, we don't need to. We just need to create a property here. So it'll be void set to-dos. No, wait. Be a getter, which will be a list of to-dos. Yep. And then we'll go back to main.dart, and then we should be able to add a delay. 2 second, add a 2 second delay, just so we can see that in action. And then after that I can do app4.todos.add, add a new to-do item where the text is, well, new item. Okay, so let's save this and see what happens. Okay. Okay, cool. Thought we broke something. Okay, that's good. So it appears after 2 seconds. Let me refresh again. Okay. Yeah, the reason why it takes a while for the interpolation to happen is because we're putting these delays in place. Okay, so this is working. Before I head off, I want to do one thing. So I noticed, or we would notice, that before it renders we get this flash of unstyled content before hello Vue renders, which is quite a common issue because at that point Vue has not loaded yet, so you still see message, and then it takes a while before Vue shows up. In fact, this is quite common, especially if you've used AngularJS 1. They used to have a property called ngCloak, and then in your style sheet you would target any element having the attribute ngCloak, and then you hide it essentially. So we can do something similar here. I'm gonna come to this index file, and then I'll add a view cloak property here, and then in my style CSS I can do something like view cloak display, set the display to none. So of course you won't see anything, but then in our main.dart I'm gonna come to the top, and then I'm gonna query select. I'm gonna use the query selector to select my body, and then I can do, oh wait, before I use query selector I need to import the Dart HTML library. Okay, so I'm going to query select any element with the view cloak attribute, and then I can do attributes which returns a map of attributes, and then I can essentially remove view cloak. I think this is the right one, so let's try that. See, okay, there we go. Okay, so that works. So once we remove the view cloak, at least we know view is ready, and then we don't see the flash of unstyled content. The reason why here you would see it is because we have the delay, the future delay. But if we got rid of the await and we did future.delayed.then, yeah, that should allow this to, in fact, let's do it now. So if I get rid of async, and then get rid of await, and do future.delayed.then of 3 scene.false. Oh, what am I doing? Oops. There we go. 3.scene was false, and I'm gonna do the same here. Up 4, and then I'm gonna shift this here. Then I'll save, and let's see what happens. Okay, so this looks slightly better now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let me refresh again. So now you see me, 2 seconds it disappears, and of course this pops up. So this looks better now. In the next video we're going to go over the other examples, starting from handling user input. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and click on the bell notification icon to be notified when new content is released. Thank you.